everybody. Good morning. Happy going into the weekend.
It's Friday.
Yay. It's Friday, as they always say.
Yay.
At any rate, so my name is Di.
And I'm Robin.
And today, do you ever walk around the world lately? Like, seriously, like looking at people and what they do, the things they choose to do in front of you and God and everybody. And we just sit there and we shake our heads.
I was going to say, how many times do you literally just shake your head and think?
I do it all the time, sitting at a light, just looking at people in a store, and you just like kind of rub your head and go, what in God's name, right? This is called, most of the time we're laughing at other people's common sense.
Lack thereof.
Or lack thereof of common sense. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of that going around.
There is. First, I want to wish my brother happy birthday, though.
Oh, so, well, happy birthday, Andy. All right, so what is common sense? Oh. I'm going to read the definition because that's what I like to do in the day.
She likes to educate.
I do. Common sense, if you don't know, it's the action that is deemed by the majority of people to be the most acceptable or most likely to result in the best outcome. Right? Yeah. So in other words, it's the ability to use your own judgment and make the right decision for whatever the situation is that you're facing.
In other words, if you don't think like I do, you don't have common sense.
Well, you see, that's a misconception because a lot of people have very different common sense.
Thank you, Louis.
It has to, hi. It has to do with your personality, their personality. So that mixes in a lot. But we went through the list last night, the lack of reasons.
Oh my God, it was actually funny because, sometimes we stay up pretty late just because we get to talking about the content and going through the different examples that we could possibly think about. Oh,
yeah, you come up with some funny stuff when it comes to common sense.
I apologize if you guys don't get all of it because, we've only got such a short period of time before, we've got to dart and run. But it can get pretty, like this one here is, I say this all the time. I'm constantly saying, oh my God, they don't have any common sense. I guess common sense isn't so common. I say it all the time. So last night we kind of had a little bit of fun with this.
Oh my God, no, but we talked about stuff that you really can't talk about on air about common sense, but that's besides the point. That's a whole nother, probably...
Oh, yeah.
Not a nice show.
There were a lot of examples we couldn't talk about online.
But anyway, so sometimes when people are going to make a decision, they really don't think, like, I don't know what goes on in their head, but they really don't think of the consequences that can happen from whatever tiny, small, minute decision you make right at that second.
Well, and sometimes you're thinking, like... What were they thinking? Seriously, like, for example, putting hot coffee down on a coffee table where there's a small child.
I have seen people do that. I am not even joking. Like that. Like, this is serious, people. You can really hurt your kids, but like sometimes we're just so distracted by other things in our life.
Or I saw this yesterday on Newsbreak. Now, I don't know how true it is because I didn't fact check it, but it is coming from Newsbreak. That 16 kids have already died this year because people left them in their car.
That's not even funny.
How is that not?
Leave it to Debbie Downer over here to bring out the worst statistics.
Right. Well, I'm sorry. But I did see it yesterday, and so it's fresh in my mind because,
But how? Let's take that. That's a serious thing. How do you leave? Right.
I can't imagine leaving my dog in the car.
No, not my dogs. Not my cats, not my children, nothing. But how do you get out of the car and just
go take care of your day? Just go in, have a meeting, go to a doctor's office.
I don't understand that. I really don't. But that's more than common sense. That's just like a tragedy waiting to happen in your own head.
Yeah, but so anyhow, so it's different things like that. I'm sure Lewis has a lot more examples he could share with us.
I'm sure Lewis has always had common sense. But at any rate, so you wouldn't leave your kids and pets in the car. That was one. The other one we thought about is that if you're in a relationship and the relationship is not good, And there you are. Listen, I sure do. And there you are with your relationship on the rocks and toxic and everything else, giving advice to someone else to get out of their relationship. Like, why would you be telling someone else? Where's your common sense to get out of the relationship that's so toxic for you? But it happens all the time.
A lot of people do that. Well, because they always, I think this is why. I think because people, they look at themselves and say, well, I can handle it. But my friend can't handle what I can handle. So I think I think that's what it is. I think, like, if you were in a bad relationship and I was in a bad relationship, I would be giving you all kinds of advice and saying, oh, get out, just get out. But I wouldn't be getting out because I'd feel like, well, I mean...
Oh, I know how to handle it.
Yeah, I'm used to this.
But she's also one of those other kinds that are kind of set in her ways a little bit. You are set in your ways. I am. They sometimes refuse to look at any, like any other side to something. But no, you're not that bad. You're very open-minded.
But I am at certain things. I am at certain things. Like, for example. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. For example, I want to hear it.
For example, I was raised on Vicks.
Oh. Does everybody know what Vicks is? Vicks
Vapor Rub. I was raised on Vicks. I mean, well, nowadays they got the patches, they got everything. But I still use the regular Vicks because I'm set in my ways. But I believe it's the cure-all for everything. My grandmother believed it was the cure-all for everything. I believe it's the cure-all for everything. And she absolutely refuses to use it.
I think that Vicks Vapor Rub, no offense to the company or anyone who invented it or uses it or whatever, said that stuff will cure cancer.
It will.
But I can't handle the smell of it. It feels like someone's trying to put me out in the deep jungle somewhere and I can't get away. So it's like somebody comes near me with that and I'm just like, oh! And I don't want to wear it. So common sense for her would be to stop bothering me to try and put this stuff on because all it does is irritate me. And I'm just like...
20 years later and I'm still saying you should have put Vicks on.
I mean, she has you putting it on the bottom of your feet and covering it up with socks or your head or whatever. I'm like, are you crazy? Like, but...
See? Slap some Vicks on your feet. See?
And the next day you're a brand new person.
That's it.
But
all detoxified.
Well, it's the same thing with I have a relative in New York. I'm not going to call her out, but I love her dearly. She went to her doctor. Now this is common sense to me, but she went to her doctor and she says to get out a fever, you have to take all the blankets off, and that's how you get rid of the fever. And I grew up going,
sweat it out.
Put as many blankets on as you can and slap that sucker out of you. So to me, common sense is to sweat the fever out. To her, and that's why I said there's so many different personalities, different perspectives to be able to make that that example work as I was just saying it.
Yeah. I mean, but it's true, because it's the perspective. It's everybody's perspective that to her, that's what she knows. That's what her doctor told her.
And she's sticking to it.
And she's sticking to it because, she knows, likes, and trusts her doctor,
Yeah.
And to us, who was raised in a different generation.
That's what it is. What did you call it last night? A
generational differences.
Difference of something.
Yeah.
But it just really comes down to personalities. I love her with all my heart, though. But... so now I'm going to give you like a few examples. You see this every day of how people are, like especially like in traffic.
Oh my God.
Common sense in traffic or in a car or like you just look over. You don't have to look far for entertainment. Because,
merging is one of them.
Common sense is what Robin calls it the zipper effect. that you have to merge like that. I don't call it. I call it just be careful driving. I don't have a name for it. But you can look over and you'll see someone coming on trying to merge. But when you look closely, they're on their phone texting. So they're really not looking in their mirror. And the common sense part is don't text and drive. But how many of you text and drive?
I do not. I don't even pick up my phone when I drive.
Now, I drive with people that are like, just like being on their phone and I'm like freaking out, holding on to the oh no bar.
You know what? I should have got the statistics of what happens to those people, because I'm going to tell you, I used to have a bumper sticker that said, stop being intoxicated, because
that's a long time ago.
Yeah, because that's one thing I really believe in. People just know common sense. I mean, it takes like a split second.
Oh, you know what? See, here's another one that I thought of. Like, you ever drive into, like, say, Walmart, and it's crowded, and you're in a hurry. You're always in a hurry, right? And you have to let the pedestrians by. You can't it's against the law to run them over, right? So.
Is it though?
But anyway, they go in front of your car to go into the store. Now, maybe it's just that I'm polite, or I do have common sense to say, oh, well, they were nice enough to stop for me, so let me scoot along a little bit. No, doesn't happen. Do you ever have those people that they look up, they see you, but they're on their phone or they're talking to somebody, and they just stroll ever so slowly
entitlement
in front of your car? Is it common sense or is it entitlement?
It's entitlement. I think they think they're entitled. I think this is a society where we're selfish. I mean, we only think of ourselves. We are so addicted to these things that
you can see it.
You're addicted to these phones that, we're losing touch with reality.
Yes, and plus the fact that you're teaching your kids it's okay to play a game while walking across the street. You know how many times I had to grab my grandkid out of the way when I was up there visiting? I'm like, come here.
It's great. Lewis is right. That's when you honk.
I can imagine his honk is probably mine's when I honk at somebody because I don't want to be
his probably sings
that person. I just go tap tap, But it's like you don't know these days talk about common sense. You don't know what someone's thinking in the car that you honk at.
I was just fixing to say that. Road rage is,
it's a thing.
It's a thing. It's a real thing. People are going to jail over that.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Is it common sense or just mental illness at that point when someone gets out of the car and starts screaming at you over some stupid little thing? But to me, common sense is, that's why I don't honk my horn. Because I don't know what they're thinking. Louis, I'm going to tell you.
I can see you doing that.
I can see you doing it, but I'm going to tell you that I can imagine that how funny that would be if you did that, but you'd probably get... It's just because I know you and I can picture that.
Oh, no, I think it's hilarious.
But good for Shannon, because she's not going to let you get, in a road rage incident over that. But at any rate, in your relationship, I bet Shannon probably has the more common sense. I'm just guessing, because you're a little more daring.
I was going to say, is it common sense, though? Or is it just, he's just got a free spirit? He's just a...
Well, we're playing with him today. Other people are going to be watching this today, and I'm wondering who in their relationship has the most common sense. And you can do that with your work people, your friends. Like, when you're hanging out with your friends, which one of you are going to be the one to dare everybody to do something that you know you shouldn't do, and common sense is saying, don't do it, but then you're going to go, oh, well, everyone else does. I don't want to be the jerk.
But keep in mind, common sense is a matter of perspective.
Right?
Because what I think is common sense may not necessarily be what I think is.
But I have common sense for, seeing ahead. I look at common sense as, don't do something that someone else is going to go, what is wrong with you?
Well, again,
I think of the consequences.
See, but and that's true. And in some situations, you should do that. But I'm just saying, I think I really do think it's like a generation gap between several different generations, because in reality, what the kids today think is common sense was definitely not anything we thought about.
No.
So it's a perspective thing.
I look at it like common sense to me, like with kids. Now, this is on a serious note because I'm just like all about children. To me, it doesn't make sense to me that you sit up with your children and watch horror movies up until the middle of the night. And there's so many people that just think, it's all right, they'll get over it. But is that the wrong thing to do? What is that common sense to keep that out of their realm?
Well, and that's the thing. That's good morning.
Hi, Rain.
That's the thing. It's a matter of perspective of how you raise your children. Now, Lewis has got quite a few. What do you think, Lewis? I mean, do you sit up late at night?
Oh, come on. We're talking Lewis. He's going to let the kids watch.
Does Shannon let you watch the horror movies with the kids?
We're just picking on Lewis this morning because
I could, but he's a lot of fun. I could see him scaring the kids.
All right, Rainey, I'll ask you. Would you let your kids watch horror movies way up into the night? Because common sense says we should not do that. My common sense is you shouldn't run around scaring your children either, because I think it's just like, why would you do that? You want them to grow up and good, and I know that you want them to be able to handle things too, but it's like, don't scare them. Stop scaring them. But anyway, so to get on with this common sense thing. Oh, Rainey said it depends on how old they are. Yes, that does make a difference. Yeah. You're absolutely right. But, I'm just going to say they have little ones up where I go and visit.
Well, again, I think it's just a matter of how you raise your children, I guess. But common sense really, truly is a matter of perspective, because we don't all think the same.
I know my grandson, he's all big and brave, and he'll be like, I can too watch that movie. I can too. And then try and get him to go to bed afterwards to his room. Hell no. He's like, all of a sudden, he's a little 4-year-old going, I just want to sleep out here.
Right.
I'm not sleeping in there. So to me, Lewis says, here, ease them into it. The way I see it is when we grew up as kids, we watched a lot of messed up stuff. But you ease them into it and see how much they can handle before they start complaining that they can't sleep.
There you go.
Oh, and Rainey wasn't allowed until she was older.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm going to tell you a little story. I think I was like maybe 9 or 10 years old. And my father decided that it was brilliant to bring me to the movies. And we were just going to have time to go to the movie together. I still remember the name of the movie. It was called Homicidal Maniac. And I'm thinking that he thought this was very
Well, that explains a lot.
But I'm sitting in the movie, and right towards the end, I'm just telling you a little bit about the movie. This scene comes on, and there's a lady sitting at the top of the stairs in a wheelchair. And someone comes in the doorway downstairs and slams the door. And with that, my little 9-year-old self said and watched a head rolling down the stairs, thinking that that's what I was supposed to see that day. And I was screaming where they stopped the movie and said, if anyone would like to leave right now, they literally stopped.
They kicked you out of the movie theater?
Oh, no. They said, if anybody would like to leave right now, we'll pause, right? No, we did not leave. He just held onto my hand and said, you're going to watch this. Okay, no common sense, like detrimental to my health.
Apparently.
So I'm just saying, you got to have common sense when it comes to kids, because I can see where that would have, yes, that shaped my life.
I don't. Well, you know what? I don't watch scary movies. I really don't. I haven't watched them in years. But when I was a kid, I watched Poltergeist.
Rainey likes scary movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched not about that at all.
I watched Poltergeist when I was a kid.
I won't. I didn't watch Psycho. I didn't watch The Exorcist. Nothing with the devil, because it's not whether I know there's a devil or not. I mean, we all say it, but I don't want to bring him into my life. Like that to me.
Just open the door and let him come in.
That to me, I have enough ghosts following me around. That's a whole nother episode. But all my life I've been like that. I can feel things. I'm not inviting the devil. And like, what is that stupid board?
Oh, the Ouija board.
The Ouija board. To me, common sense is don't play the Ouija board.
Yeah,
because
I've never
that is, woohoo, that's out there. But anyway, I don't know what happened to me this morning. I'm just going off.
You finally woke up.
About common sense. It only took about 14 sips of this big, large coffee that we have every morning. So, to get back on track about common sense, she's reeling me in again. I go off. I like to do that. Oh, Rainey said Rainey, remember that day we were looking at an apartment? I can't go into it now because I'm on a call, but
we're a little busy right now, Rainey.
we ran out of the building. No, there was stuff there. So anyway. So my question is, she remembers, but my question is, what do you do if you're around someone that you always look up to? They're smart, but they have absolutely no common sense. Do you tell them? Do you just let them make the mistakes all the time?
I always thought, my older brother, he was really book smart. Like he was, excelled way above his grade level in school. Yeah. Straight A's, the whole 9 yards. But poor boy had absolutely no common sense.
Is this the brother who has a birthday tomorrow? Or
no. It's my brother James. He had no common sense.
Oh my God.
But he was very, very smart. And sometimes as I was going through researching this, there's like, I won't go into all of them now, but there's like 9 different types of intelligence. Uh-huh. And not everybody has all of them. But when you start actually reading about the different types of intelligence, you start being able to pinpoint people. And that's what I was doing last night. My brother was like so mathematical intelligent. I mean, he just...
Rainey just ratted out her brother.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, so I try and tell people, like I'll give them my opinion of a decision they're going to make that I could think it is the worst decision on the face of the earth for them. But people tend to do whatever it is that they want to do anyway, no matter how much they hear this isn't going to turn out good for anyone. They do it anyway. And sometimes... And I was young at one point, but sometimes you just do
you're
it.
Still young.
You just do it for the thrill of whatever's going to happen, and worry about the consequences later.
That would be you.
But I mostly have really good common sense. But I think that there's people that lack common sense that usually believe everything they hear, so you can kind of tell them anything. They won't fact check it. But they do stand their ground. I mean, that happens a lot today. I'm not going into it, but that happens a lot today in politics. That's why we have such a big divide, because there's a lot of no fact checking, and there's a lot of all this stuff going on. And only thing I'm going to say is both sides. I think the government has no common sense against we the people. Like that, I'm not going any further than that, but because I can't. Lewis says we call them Karens. That is true. However, what do you have to say about this? What do you?
Well, you just kind of threw me off with your whole.
I guess I refuse to talk about politics.
Yeah, but anyhow.
Look around.
Again, common sense is a matter of perspective.
Right.
What you perceive to be common sense isn't necessarily what I do.
Look, yeah, go ahead.
No.
I just thought of something.
Well, go ahead, share.
She's one of those people that she'll be working on something, right? And I see that she's struggling. And I know somebody who has the answer to it all, right? Common sense is, and I say this all the time, Robin, why don't you just call them and they can walk you through it? Total ignorance. She just doesn't talk to me, doesn't say anything, just keeps doing it. So about 15 minutes go by and I still see her like I go, Robin, why don't you call them? They know how to do it. Well, what's your reasoning, Robin?
I am a problem solver.
No matter what.
That's right. I'm a problem solver, and I will figure out the problem. I don't need to call somebody to figure out the problem.
When it could be done in 5 minutes, she'll take an hour just to figure it out.
But I still get it done.
But to me, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, it makes lots of sense to me.
There's that thing where people just stick to their own way, no matter what.
But see, that's just it. Your way is you want to call somebody. You want to phone a friend and get it over with.
Because it takes up time.
I know.
And I don't like to be baffled. I like to pick up an instrument and play it. You know, I don't want to have to take 75 weeks to learn it.
That is right, Louis.
What do you say? Because the power of overcoming your own obstacles is greater than getting the task done. I believe that.
Thank you, Louis.
I'm just not that person. I'm like, okay, and you know what? And I didn't cheat in school either. I didn't take the short way out. I literally.
But you're smart. I mean, like, I went through the 9 levels of intelligence, and Di has like 8 of them. So, I mean, I thought I was intelligent until I went through the 9 list of intelligence. And I was like, I don't have that one. There's actually a test you can take online.
People would never. It's so funny. And I'm going to just bring myself out like this. But people never really think I'm smart because I joke around and like I'm sometimes the life of the party, other times not. You know, sometimes it doesn't, it depends on what mood I'm in. But I don't think that anyone would think that I could sit down and hold conversations about very much of anything because I'm all over the place.
You had 8 levels, 8 types of intelligence. I don't know if that means you're multiple personality, but you had 8 types of intelligence.
I feel myself ticking. Anyway, so what I was going to say is that my favorite shows are like all these. I love trivia shows. I like going to trivia nights, although we haven't done that in a long time.
We need to start doing that.
But I like that, and Rainey says that's how you learn, and I totally believe that. But I don't know. You have this other thing that you pointed out to me. I think it was last night. You brought up like with the business that we're in. You know, you could say, I could say to somebody, like for instance, I'm going to call you out here, Rainey. A long time ago, I was telling Rainey about this company that's all into gold and all this other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, no, everything's a scam and blah, blah, blah. Because a lot of times, I didn't say you did this, but people will go, and my point was that company is doing really, really, really well.
Oh,
now.
yeah, it is good.
You know, they've gone really far because it's gold and silver and blah, blah, blah. But that's a whole nother thing. I just wanted to say it led up to the point that I was talking about. Like, we'll tell people about a company that we're with now because we diversify, so we're in a few, right? And the people, you'll tell them about it and you tell them how good it is and why it would benefit them, their family, their future, all this stuff, right? And the first thing they do is go on Google and look up the name of the company. Now there's, that is true. She did buy her home. I'm glad you held your money too. But like they'll go on Google and they'll look at all the bad publicity.
Reviews. And
bad
stuff.
Reviews that the companies have. They all have bad reviews. Every single company gets bad reviews. A lot of it is
there's a reason for that.
Okay.
And that's because people actually get paid to write bad reviews.
They do.
And the reality of that is the majority of the people writing those reviews aren't even in the company they're reviewing.
Most of the time they're not, but they go behind all these MLM marketings or whatever. And I don't want to call anybody out. So. I didn't say anything.
Oh, by the way, we're not therapists, so our
no.
viewpoint on common sense is just our opinion.
Yes, we forgot to say that. That is very important. We are just layman people that have absolutely no clinical training whatsoever. However, I do a little bit for drugs and alcohol. I did go for that.
Okay, but that was then. This is now.
Yes.
And the disclaimer is
So
we're not there.
anyway, so people tend to think, like they go and they read these articles about these companies and they go, oh my God, this person committed shoplifting when he was 12. Oh my God, he's going to rip us off, And they go through this whole thing about what's wrong with the company they've never been in, never talked to anybody that's in it, all these things. And they call it a scam and say, nope, I'm not doing it. So they think, they don't look at the logic of it. They make their assumptions based on not based on reality.
Well, that's again because common sense is based off of those 9 types of intelligence, and some people have certain ones that don't have the other ones, and it's so much easier for this is what it is about the marketing thing. It's so much easier for people to find a reason not to do it than it is for them to take a risk and do something different in their life. Well, because that involves commitment. And a lot of people don't want to commit to anything other than Doritos.
That risk. It's also that risk factor. You got your money, all right? And nobody knows what's happening with the American dollar. I'm just putting that out there. So you take your money and you put it in the bank, and then, in Rainey's case, it worked out great for her. That was a good decision for her to buy a home. But other times, listen to a person who's into a company or telling you to take a job, or someone who has more experience.
In this situation, it was good for her because she bought a home. In our situation, it was that working in that company that allowed us to buy ours.
I can't help it.
I know Lewis is.
I'm laughing at Rainey. That my pillow guy was a heroin addict.
Oh my God. Okay.
Disclaimer, I don't know if that's true, and I did not fact check it. But at any rate, so all we're saying is that you can't...
See what Lewis wrote there?
No. With Google at everyone's fingertips, people no longer have to use critical thinking and understand how something works or how to do things, and therefore they are blind to other solutions. That is so true, right? And I totally believe that. But you also can't believe everything that you hear because you don't know where the source came from. You don't know what actually is true. I'm talking about right in the moment. You can look up Google, but who wrote the Google article? You have to take all these things in, and like Robin said, there's people that are paid. You can ruin someone's reputation just by the internet, and it doesn't make it true. You could say someone did this, someone did that, and common sense said, that just sounds too crazy to believe that. And that's what happens. It's like, it's really gotten out of hand. But the true...
So use common sense, people.
Yeah, so the truism of it is use common sense every single day. Like, yours is different than mine. Mine is even different than Robin's. Like, we hang out a lot. And I probably would know if she was going to choose one way or the other, but our common sense sometimes
differs.
Very much differs. So I think everybody does.
Well, you're intelligent, you have those 8 types. I don't have 8, sadly, but but it's okay. I'm all right with it. I'm good with it.
But all right. Well, anyway, so just think about it. Do you have common sense or do you have a lack of common sense? You can be smart. You can be extremely intelligent, and you can see it around the world. You can be so smart, but have absolutely no common sense of what the right thing to do is. Don't think of the consequences way after. Try and think of the consequences before you make a decision like, something big. Try not to walk in front of people's cars and stroll.
Return your shopping carts.
every term. Robin has a big thing about shopping carts. Put them back so that nobody gets a dent in their car. That's just common sense to her. But at any rate, the biggest thing I want to say is when you're around children and you're trying to teach them common sense, don't do stupid things in front of your children, no matter what it is, like leaving tea down where they can spill it on themselves, or things like that. Don't leave them in the car. Like this. Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Well,
what
apparently
common
not
sense is.
everybody does, because there's been 16 kids die this year.
Why do you keep saying that, Debbie Downer?
I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. I'm just simply saying not everybody does have common sense.
No, but it breaks my heart to know that people just would do that. So
Well-
it's hard for me to imagine that really did happen throughout the country. Like, people, it's 120 degrees with the heat index. At least down here it is. We haven't had a break from it. It's very odd. But, okay, we'll do a couple more. Are you sure, Robin? I don't know what she asked that for. Okay, leave the shopping cart out because then it's closer and more convenient for the next person. Just saying.
Oh, see, there's your perspective, buddy.
There's your perspective.
I can always count on you.
All right, so let's all go out because we have to go.
Have a fabulous Friday.
Have a fabulous day. Please go out and be kind. Hey, Rainey, maybe one day we'll talk about on our show those little phenomenons that happen around
Maybe we'll do it
certain
on Wind
people.
Down Wednesday, because what's happening is we're doing our show in the morning and we're getting a lot of feedback, and a lot of people are saying, oh, but I can't get up that early, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah, but we do it in the morning like this, so we start people's day off with either a little motivation, inspiration, common sense.
I'm selfish. It starts my day.
Motivation. Yeah. So we like to have coffee with people.
Yeah, so I think we're going to put together something that we're going to do.
How many people would like to see a show all about spirits, ghosts, and all that other stuff, and what really happens to people? Are they really around? That would make an interesting show, but more one for night, because I can't see that ending in 15, 20 minutes.
No, let's make it real spooky. We'll turn off all the lights.
But I'm just curious if anybody else would be interested in talking about all that stuff, because to me, it's spooky, but it can happen. Anyway, go out, be kind. Please be kind, especially to children and elder people. Give them a little hand if you can. We love you guys. Thank you so much for showing up.
We had a lot of fun this morning.
Yeah. You guys take care. Oh, God, he wants to use a Ouija board. I got a story. I'll let you know about it.
All right, guys. See you later.
All right, love you guys. Bye.